Okay, I've had it with Gimp, GNU image manipulation program, and I'm going to describe exactly what problem it suffers from. Imagine if you were running a factory, and that factory produced sports cars, and you relied only upon your engineering team to design and build that sports car. You'd end up with a car that was potentially excellent. Even if you had motorsport engineers involved in its production, you would still only have a car that was potentially excellent. In order to make that car a fully fledged, perfect sports car, you would have to get drivers, people who are drivers, not engineers who also drive, but drivers, sports car or racing drivers, or racing car drivers. And you'd have to hand them your product and let them take it out on a track and bring it back in, and you'd have to listen to what they said. And it doesn't matter if the engineers say, but it should. The driver will tell you. He's not going to ask you. He's going to tell you. It's horrible. It handles really badly in these conditions. The gear changes are awful under these circumstances, blah, 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 blah. And the engineers say has no meaning. They can say, okay, all they can do is say, okay, we can do this to make it better. And the driver will say, great, do that, and let's take it out again, and we'll see. And then they'll go and work on it, and they'll produce it, and he'll take it out and say, that's better. It's not quite there. I think it needs a little bit more of this. And one of the engineers will go, aha, I know how to do that. And then he'll do it, and then he'll put it back in the driver's hands, and the driver will say, that's amazing, you've cracked it. I don't know what you did, but you cracked it. Gimp, I think, is suffering with the same sort of problem. I think it's stuck in the hands of developers. Now, those developers may also be graphic artists, but they are not graphic artists first and foremost. What Gimp needs to do in order to succeed in its project is to invite comment from only graphical artists. But we do, they would say. Well, I use the thing, and I have looked on the internet, and the only way that I can see of getting through to these people is on endless junk forums where, frankly, it's a lot of technical jargon that people really don't want to sift through, especially people who are graphic artists. They're not interested in programming language and terms. They don't care. What they want is the opportunity to say, this doesn't work the way I want it. Now, it's clear that at some points during the development of Gimp, there has been influence by or reference to some people who use it as graphic artists. However, I would imagine that only those who are also very computer savvy have been listened to. So Gimp is still suffering in the morass of developer land. Oh yes, we can do this and we can do this and that should work, and oh yes, blah, 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 blah. And it's awful. Because if you compare Photoshop, again, Photoshop's got a different problem. It was brilliant, and then it's suffering from going up its own backside for a similar reason, because it's not listening to customers. Whoever's in their development team has been paid and they're told, you're amazing, keep doing it. And I don't think they're listening to anyone either. So they've gone off blindly, but GIMP doesn't have to do that. I have tried figuring out how to get hold of the developers, right? Now, you've got GitHub and GitLab, right? I can't get a membership on GitLab. I have tried getting a membership. I got one for a moment, then it was deleted. I complained to the admin, and it feels like the admin's sitting there going, oh really? You want to complain to me? I'm the admin. And that's the problem with developers. They are arrogant, power-crazed little nitwits who shouldn't be in positions of impact or influence over anything, ever. They should be stuck in the corner, doing what they do brilliantly, but they should never, ever be in a position of power or authority, because they are despotic. All they do is say, no, 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 I know best. And they've got this little power trip going on. It happens, you can see it everywhere. You can't get anything done because these imps are sitting there, Gimp, imp, who knows? But they're sitting there like, no, you can't, no. That's the attitude of these people. So this is the problem with Gimp. I'm sure it was a great project that wonderful people are working on, but they are not in communication. Graphic artists are the customer. The customer is always right. No, they're not right. Yes, they are. No, they're not. Well, they're all complaining, mate. They're all complaining that your product's awful. So who's wrong? The product, them, or you? Oh, yeah, exactly. You are. So you better shut up and listen to the end user. They will tell you what's right or what's wrong about it. They can't fix it. You can. And they yield to your ability in that regard. But when it comes to getting the information, listen to them. Seek the information. Go up to their doorsteps, ring on the doorbell and say, please tell me what's wrong with the software. Don't sit there and go, no, I know better, because that's the attitude of developers. Developing! So to me, now, if you've got a picture of a developer if you've got a dictionary and there's a picture of a developer in the entry under the word, developer, he's sitting there going, no, that's a developer. Nowadays, they're just arrogant. They're completely arrogant, they're out of control, and everyone else is like, oh, when are they going to stop? Because they won't listen. So, Gimp as a software package, very, very powerful, just like a beautifully engineered car that has never been taken out on the track by a driver. So you've got thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe, in fact, likely millions of people using this software, and all of them are dissatisfied with it. I don't think there's anyone who's like, you know what, Gimp have cracked it. No, none of them. They're all going, oh, I wish this software was better. And the people who are developing it are going, no, it should be perfect. In the same way as the team of engineers who would design a car that has never been tested by a driver would still be saying, no, it should work, it should be perfect. Because no one's testing it. How far do you think an aeroplane manufacturer would get if they didn't have test pilots? A team of engineers says, yes, that plane should fly fantastically. They send it out, a pilot takes it up, and it's like, this thing is dangerously bad. And the engineer's like, why? It shouldn't be. And he goes, well, it's because of this, and this is what I'm feeling when I'm flying the plane. And they say, oh yeah. And then the mistakes get rectified. But if you're not listening to your test pilots, if you're not listening to your drivers, if you're not listening to your end users, you're an idiot. And so the software needs, at the moment, to retain the name Gimp, because at the moment it's designed by Gimps. What it should be changed to eventually is perhaps, I don't know, what's another name for Gimp that isn't horrendously stupid and self-deprecating. But it needs to change its whole ethos. Yes, it's nice that it's open source software, fantastic. But they need to focus upon listening to graphical artists above all. Okay? I don't like when I use that software that it tries to ram messages down my throat because it conceives that everyone using it is stupid. That's another thing with developers nowadays. They think everyone in the world is stupid but them. Oh, you've got a problem. Okay, I'll stick a warning the size of a house into your face when you make a mistake. That'll fix the problem. No, it just irritates the user. This kind of nonsense is knee-jerk reactive development. It's not proactive listening development. It's not sensitive to the user. They're missing the point. And I have used this program now for a project for about 6 months. And you know what? The number of breaks I've had to take in my work to literally sit down and calm down for want of throwing my own laptop through the window. Just because this software is so badly designed, but it could be excellent. Just like a perfectly engineered sports car, which is rubbish to drive because it's designed only by engineers with no input from a driver. And that's the problem with Gimp. Please, 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 people, I don't know how to get this. I'm at my wit's end. That's why I'm making this video. I don't know who to communicate this to. I don't know how to communicate it to them, because they all sit there behind the internet hiding. So we need more open ways of communicating with these people. I don't know what else to say.